A crew with the 134th Air Refueling Wing based in Knoxville is receiving the highest military award for valor in the sky.
A Chinese military aircraft manufacturer has released footage of recent airdrop drills conducted by Chinese airborne troops.
Air refueling is the process of transferring fuel from one aircraft to another during flight.
It's 04:06 hours over the Philippine Sea. Darkness stretches for hundreds of miles, no lights, no horizon, just a sky full of whispers. On a radar screen aboard a US E-3 Sentry, small blips start to appear at the edge of detection range, high altitude, fast and steady. 1, 2, then 4. They're not bombers, not fighters, they're tankers. Large, slow-moving silhouettes cruising at 30,000 feet, each one flanked by a pair of smaller contacts, Chinese J-16S, holding formation off their wings. The U.S. radar operator frowns. The numbers don't make sense. The nearest Chinese base should be out of range. So how are they still here, patrolling, holding, waiting, hours longer than physics should allow? He checks his feet again. Still there, still steady. A quiet realization settles in the room. The Chinese aren't turning back anymore. For decades, China's air power had a built-in limit. Fighter jets could only strike as far as their fuel allowed. Bombers had to rely on forward bases or risky mid-air refueling from outdated Soviet-era tankers. That limit defines the strategy. It dictated where China could fight, how long it could fight, and whether its aircraft could ever challenge American or Allied forces far from home. But that limitation is disappearing. At the center of this quiet revolution is the Yu-20 aerial refueling tanker, a 4-engine behemoth derived from the Y-20 Kunpeng heavy transport. Sleek, modern, and digitally controlled, it carries more than 90 tons of fuel and can refuel multiple aircraft at once through a flexible boom and drogue system. In simple terms, it's a flying gas station and a game changer. Every week, Yu-20s are seen flying deep into the Pacific, practicing with J-10C fighters, J-16 strike aircraft, and even H-6 bombers. Each refueling operation extends China's combat radius by hundreds, sometimes thousands of kilometers. And every drop of fuel they transfer is rewriting the map of possible wars. At 0340 hours under thick coastal fog near Fujian, 3 Yu-20 tankers roll down the runway. Their engines, 4 massive WS-20 turbofans, hum like distant thunder. Behind them, 6 J-16 fighters and 2 H-6K bombers await clearance. This is no ordinary drill. This is an endurance operation, a test of sustained power projection deep into contested airspace. As the first tanker lifts off, its navigation lights blink in synchronized rhythm with the fighters following close behind. At 4:15, the fleet disappears over the East China Sea. From Japan to Guam, American radar stations light up in quiet confusion. These tankers weren't supposed to be there. The nearest Chinese airbase is over 1,500 kilometers away, far beyond the endurance of unrefueled strike aircraft. But the Chinese formation keeps going, steady, coordinated. By 0500 hours high above the Pacific, the first Yu-20 begins its work. Its massive refueling pods extend thin, steel-braided hoses, each trailing a drogue basket. The J-16s, flying in perfect symmetry, slide into position one after another. A sensor-guided boom locks on. Fuel starts flowing. Inside the cockpit of the lead J-16, the pilot watches the gauge rise, fuel tanks filling, endurance clock resetting. What was once a 1,500-kilometer mission just became 3,000, then 4,000. The Chinese call this operation the Sky Bridge, a chain of flying fuel depots that turns short-range fighters into long-distance hunters. One tanker can keep a squadron in the air for hours. A fleet of them can keep a theater alive for days. Meanwhile, 800 kilometers away, aboard the U.S. destroyer U.S. Rafael Peralta, operators are tracking the same formation. But the numbers don't add up. "Sir," a petty officer says, "they've been airborne for nearly 5 hours, still maintaining formation, no deviations, no returns to base." His commander looks skeptical. Impossible. They're bluffing with ghost radar reflections. Fighters can't loiter that long. He's half right. On paper, J-16S can only stay in the air for a few hours before fuel becomes critical. But that assumption was their biggest mistake. The Yu-20 isn't just a refueling aircraft, it's a strategic multiplier. Each tanker can carry up to 110 tons of fuel and refuel 3 aircraft in sequence or 2 simultaneously. Using its refueling pods mounted under each wing and a central boom, it can top up a J-16 in just 5 minutes, enough to extend that fighter's combat radius from 1,500 kilometers to more than 3,500 kilometers. That means a squadron taking off from eastern China can reach the skies near Guam and still have fuel to fight. But the brilliance lies not in quantity, but in coordination. The PLA Air Force's command theater system allows tankers, fighters, and AWACS aircraft to share data in real time through encrypted data links. Each Yu-20 can act as a mobile command node, rerouting missions, redirecting jets, or adjusting refueling schedules mid-air. In older doctrines, refueling was a fixed sequence. Now it's fluid, adaptive, networked. This gives Chinese strike packages flexibility once thought impossible. A pilot can change course mid-mission, chase new targets, or extend patrols over disputed islands without ever touching a runway. The sky itself becomes their airbase. By 6:45, the Chinese formation nears the second refueling point, this time near the Mariana Trench. The ocean below is calm, hiding silent witnesses, U.S. submarines monitoring every move. The tankers circle at 28,000 feet. 2 H-6K bombers break formation and descend slightly, waiting their turn. These bombers, each armed with CJ-10A land attack cruise missiles, can now reach targets more than 4,000 kilometers away, including American air bases in Guam or Diego Garcia. Refueling is delicate, a dance of precision at 700 kilometers per hour. Every movement is monitored from the ground through satellite uplinks and Beidou positioning. In Beijing's Western Theater Command, officers watch glowing icons move across digital maps. Every aircraft, every tanker, every refueling event is logged in real time. The operation has gone perfectly so far, but as the third Yu-20 prepares for the next transfer, a warning flashes on the AWACS feed. Foreign radar lock detected. American F-35s have entered the periphery. The U.S. fighters operating from Guam had launched an hour earlier, tasked with intercepting what they believed was a small Chinese bomber patrol. But when they approach radar range, their sensors light up with electronic noise. The Chinese J-16S, equipped with KG-600 jamming pods, begin broadcasting deception signals. Phantom contacts flood the American radar scopes, 10 aircraft, 20, 50. None of it is real. The F-35s hesitate. They can't identify which blip is genuine. Meanwhile, at 30,000 feet, the Yu-20s continue their task, steady, silent, unaffected. Each one offloads tons of fuel, recharging the strike group's range. Inside the cockpit of the lead tanker, the pilot remains calm. He's trained for this. China now conducts dozens of refueling drills every month, from the South China Sea to the deserts of Xinjiang. Their mantra is simple: endurance is dominance. Within minutes, the refueling complete. The J-16 detach, armed and fully fueled, fanning out in multiple directions. The strategic consequences are immense. For the first time, China can project air power over disputed zones like the Taiwan Strait, the Paracels, or even into the Indian Ocean, without relying on overseas bases. In other words, the sky itself has become China's territory.